This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello everyone and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host Mike Parkin, and joining me this evening are Stephen Lockridge.
Hello.
And Christopher Page.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
No problem. Christopher is whereabouts in the States are you from, Chris?
I am smack dab kind of in the middle of the Midwest. I'm in Ohio.
Okay. Awesome.
In kind of the southwest corner of the state.
And you are involved in two separate podcasts, I believe. The Time Shifters and what was the other one?
Orphaned Entertainment.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Yeah, we've been doing Orphaned Entertainment we're on our 14th year, I think.
Nice. Yeah. How often do you record?
Time Shifters goes out twice a month. Orphaned Entertainment goes out just once a month.
Okay. And I mean, I had a quick look at the some of the films you're covering on the Time Shifters one. I mean, it seems to be quite eclectic. I mean, what sort of criteria do you use to sort of choose which films you're going to cover?
It is a bit eclectic. It is basically whatever we want to cover. We have done theme years where we've chosen like an overall theme to cover with that year, which probably sounds very self-explanatory. I didn't need to explain it. Like one year we did nothing but time travel films. One year we did something that was called Well, It Looked Pretty, which were just films that look great, but didn't do so well at the box office, or maybe were completely trashed by critics, that sort of thing. This year we're kind of doing a little bit more random. We're kind of going back on some of our old themes and then just picking films that we didn't get to cover and cover them again, mostly in the sci-fi and horror kind of genres.
Yeah.
And then we do a little bit like your show. We'll get the occasional screener for a film that's coming out, and we'll get a chance to talk about that. And we'll kind of do that. We used to call them time hops to kind of go along with the Time Shifters, but I've kind of changing that over to a little bit more into just calling them an independent film spotlight, because I'm hoping to bring in more independent film into the show that we review, and that may not necessarily be sci-fi and horror, so I was just trying to make it a little bit more generic title.
Okay, yeah, understand. Funny enough, your latest episode, you covered a film called The Hermit, which starred Lou Ferrigno. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
That was an interesting film. It was one of those. It was good. There's a lot in it to like. We liked what they were trying to do and where they went with it, but we weren't necessarily thrilled with some of the bits of the journey to get there.
Sure. I mean, I agree with you, and I must admit, I thought the ending was quite original. So I did like where it ends up for sure, and I wasn't sure about the framing device at first, because it's like done as an interrogation in a police station kind of scenario. Then you think, well, where's that going? And then it turns out, oh, there's an interesting twist towards the end. Yeah, no, it is fascinating one, that for sure. So what can you tell us about? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Hermit, the twist comes at you so fast that you could suffer whiplash, and I think that's kind of what we felt. We sat there, and everyone that watched that film, we sat there, and everyone looked at each other and went, "Wait a minute, what?"
It's a bit like the end of, I mean, poles apart, but at the same time, kind of about the same amount of time The Usual Suspects gives for its twist to hit. It's literally the last 2 minutes of the film kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's the Time Shifters. What about Orphaned Entertainment? Where does the title for that come from?
Orphaned Entertainment is the film that we cover, films that are in the public domain. So these films have been, or excuse me, I'll say that we call ourselves sort of foster care for nearly forgotten cinema. These are the films early 20th century films that they're in the public domain.
Mhm.
Anyone can have access to watch. They're online, they're on YouTube. We host many of the films on our own YouTube channel, and we're sort of looking for the both the diamonds in the rough and also some of the foundation of films we watch today that are made today. We're
Mm.
seeing like the origins of many of the tropes and the themes of modern film, and we're seeing it in films in the 20s and 30s, and that's really interesting.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from with that. There's last year, well, there's a thing every April that somebody does called Pre-Code April online. It's like a challenge to watch as many pre-code films as you can during that month. And one of the films I came across myself was Fritz Lang's Spies. And
Ooh,
watching
okay.
that, it is seriously, when you watch it, you suddenly realize that how many of those sort of action tropes have carried over since that period, since like, as you say, late 1920s, early 1930s through to now, and we're still using them. It's quite interesting, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I've not
Mm,
seen that film. I'll have to look
mm,
that one up. Fritz
yeah.
Lang's an interesting filmmaker. He's definitely
Mm,
has got some films that, and how he films is they're always worth a watch. So I'll have
mm,
to dig that one up. One of the things I really like, not even so much where we see like, oh, it's the same trope or the same theme, is also seeing how things they're the same, but yet they've evolved. There
yeah.
was a film that someone did something with their hands to motion that they were going to go make a phone call. And most of us, and today we would do the hold the hand up with the thumb and the pinky out maybe
Mm.
and say that, so the look in the thumb. Well, this person they had one hand in front of their mouth and held the other hand up to their ear.
Ah, of
And I thought,
course.
oh, that's interesting. But that makes sense because most and
Mm,
many of the phones at the time were like the old candlestick phones or the
mm,
two-handed,
exactly.
talk in
Yeah,
one
yeah.
piece, put the ear.
Mm,
I found that so fascinating. That was like the highlight of that episode was me seeing that and discovering what he was doing. I'm like, of
mm,
course it would be different.
yeah, yeah. I must admit, I do like finding those sort of anachronisms. So how do people do stuff in the past, sort of thing. Um, Another one from what was it? Kind Hearts and Coronets. It was seeing how shops, like a department store, would handle money. From you'd never go up to a counter and just hand over money to buy stuff. There's always another two, steps to get it. It was just very, very strange.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about the past and enough about your stuff. Let's talk about what we're doing tonight. So, we are going to be talking about Worldbreaker, which stars Mila Jovovich and Luke Evans. Then we've got an independent film called Blood Barn. Then we have a bit of French sci-fi horror called Else. Then we have a film called The Monster Within, also known as Inheritance. And then I'm going to be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake. Our short shot this week is POV. And our throwback is Gary Daniels in Diamond Cut Diamond, also known as Witness to a Kill. So, without further ado, let's crack on. Our first film then is Worldbreaker. In the near future, a war is waged between mankind and bizarre creatures which have emerged from the earth. As things look bleak, a father hides his daughter on an island to keep her safe while he equips her for survival and the battles ahead. This looks great, Steve. It's got
Yep.
production values for this are really, really good. It's got great cast. The only problem is, really, it's like somebody's ripped the last two chapters out of the book.
Yeah, and no.
Are you happy where it ended? Because that seemed like, mm,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But I did actually enjoy this
mhm,
more than I thought I was going to. I mean, it's basically, you've got like two action sequences, and then like the middle bit is like a training montage, basically spread over
basically
45 minutes. But
Mhm.
I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed Luke Evans' performance and his daughter,
Mhm.
and I thought there's decent twists in the story, decent explanations in the story. Because you obviously you're thinking Luke Evans, he's the big hard man, but he's not. He's injured. He can't walk, very well or run or anything like that. And the way they build it, not build it, but they explain it that it's mainly women who are fighting the war against the
Yeah.
breakers.
Mhm.
I thought that was really interesting how that's explained and how they came to be. They come through the stitch or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so I actually thought the story was actually pretty decent. And I thought it looked great. I thought it was really well acted. Like you say, there is actually some production value in it, which is mainly, I say, used in the beginning.
Mhm.
The beginning battle sequences. I mean, because there's like a one shot going through.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, which I was really impressed with. I thought it was really good. I mean, to be fair, you look at the director; he's done a hell of a lot of stuff and some decent stuff as well.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, it's directed
You
by
know,
Brad Anderson, who did Session 9 and The Machinist.
yeah.
So yeah, not some Johnny Come Lately or anything,
No, no, but
Hmm.
yeah, well, to be honest, I kind of thought that this would be going to Prime or something like that. I don't
Mhm.
couldn't see it getting a theatrical release, but Prime or Netflix. I mean, where is it coming? Do we know?
I think it is getting an actual disc release.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is kind of surprising to be fair
Mm.
in this day and age.
Yeah,
But
it is. But I did really like this myself.
mm,
I was just a bit disappointed about where it decided to end. Um, it's it was leading into something bigger, basically. I think that's where the production that kind of ran out of money, maybe, or they decided just not to. But there is some good stuff in here, as you say.
mm,
I like the fact that she's able to sort of make mistakes and then learn from them,
yeah,
and things like that. And the film itself is it's all about the power of stories and how those stories can be used to sort of generate hope and even just passing on information and exposition so we can keep track of what's actually going on.
yeah.
It's interesting, because there's this sort of mythical hero called Kodiak, and it sort of leaves it open as to whether or not Luke Evans' character was meant to have been him, or if he's
I'll be honest. I would have said yeah. To be
yeah.
fair.
At the very least, he's someone who was close to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of fought alongside him or something. But yeah, no, you definitely got the impression that he probably was. But yeah, no, it was very, very well done. It was, if you've seen things like The Maze Runner, um, which is another really good sort of young adult film, maybe there is a plan for what happens next, but it's on that sort of level. If
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, stars Luke Owen and Mila Jovovich. I was sort of worried that she was just going to be in like flashbacks at
Yeah.
first, but it turns out no. She's proper character for a good portion of the film. So yeah, it's very well done. How are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, definitely a 7. There you have it. 2 sevens for Worldbreaker. Go check it out. Our next film is Bloodbarn, To celebrate the last summer days before college, Josie invites 6 fellow camp counselors to her family's abandoned barn. As their presence stirs a supernatural, malevolent force, Josie faces a shrouded history in order to save her friends. Okay, this is directed, first-time director Gabriel Bernini. I think it's fair to say, guys, that he wears his influences on his sleeve. I think he there's a lot borrowed, most notably the point of view zoom shot from the Evil Dead films as something zooms toward, it's the first thing we see basically, isn't it? So apart from this sort of sea chest with sort of glowing red light inside, the very next thing is this zoom shot heading towards the bum. Okay, so there's a lot of heavy influences. There's other stuff in there. There's bits of Chainsaw Massacre. There's bits of some sort of Argento in there as well. But I really like this. And the thing that got me on board pretty quickly was that opening credit sequence, because it was just so well done. You had this group of friends in this car. You get these sort of freeze frames with the names of the actors sort of popping up. I just thought it had style, and to a certain degree, it kind of makes you want to be in that car, because they genuinely look like they're having a fun time. I don't want to be driving the car. Okay, I reckon he's having the worst day of his life, but everyone else seems to be having a good time. The film, it is pretty generic for long stretches. We do get a lot of sort of frat boy hijinks in the first half before things start becoming more and more malevolent and supernaturally and can't be ignored. But yeah, no, I was really on board with this. I thought the look of it, they went for like a 70s aesthetic with the the film stock, or synthesized sort of film stock. I thought the score was really good. I thought it was reasonably well acted. So yeah, I did enjoy this one. Christopher, what did you make of Bloodbarn?
Not as enamored with it as you are. My initial thought was after watching this, and you're right, the influence of the Evil Dead is right there. And in my head, I kind of dubbed it the Evil Dud. There is a lot in the film that I do like. The director or whoever put together the sound design and everything, I think did a masterful job.
Yeah,
there's some moments in there that just the sound alone, it puts you on edge appropriately, and leads up to some creepiness, or the voices of beyond and how that they come across are really good. There are some good visuals as well, a lot with the lighting, and I think a lot of it could have been even better if there was a bigger budget, which obviously this was backyard filmmaking.
yeah.
And with what they had, I think, yeah, they probably did as well as they could have. But overall, it still felt a little, they needed to maybe get across what they were trying to do a little more for me. You start out and everyone's acting like teenagers, and everyone is in their 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens, and that happened at the time that the film was that they were homaging was made. So I don't know. I suppose I can't use that as a knock against it. It's just, it took me a while to sit in or get into, like, okay, what is the vibe that you're trying to put across here with this? It just took me too long to get into, okay, this is what they're doing. And yeah, some of the acting was okay. Some of it was less, but yeah, there was a lot in here to like. It just overall, it just didn't really gel for me.
Steve, your thoughts on Bloodbarn?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Christopher, to be fair. I wasn't madly enamored with it. It starts off okay. I like the fact that it's set in the 80s. Obviously, with the VHSs and stuff like that, and I thought that was quite an interesting bend on it. But yeah, it is just an Evil Dead ripoff. Even the makeup is looking pretty similar. Like the blue, greenish faces and stuff like that, and the vines going through and everything like that. It just kind of, it's like the tree rape scene, basically. A lot of that with the vines and that going through, and it just, it's very generic, very seen before millions of times, done better, done differently, and I just wasn't enamored with it at all, to be fair.
Philistines, both of you.
No, I mean, come on. It's
no, I
nothing
totally
new,
agree. So, I mean, this is on the level of something like Charlie Steeds would put out, but it would be less derivative. That is absolutely sure. I like the practical gore effects. There's some good stuff going on there. There's some dark humor, which I liked. There's some sort of slapstick going on, which again is another sort of Evil Dead nod, I guess. I like the thing about the videotape, about her birthday party when she was a kid, and that sort of, you could tell that it was sort of something in the back of her mind, that's sort of being unlocked, and she's sort of starting to doubt whether or not she should have brought people to this house. Loads of little bits like that. I also like Christopher. I like the sound design. When the films opened, I thought that sea chest was on a ship, like an old sailing ship, because in the background all you can hear is this sort of groaning and creaking of like timbers and things, and then you realize later on that's just the barn. That is the barn. It's so old. It's it's making these sort of groans and creaks all the time in the background, which I thought was a great little idea. I like this. You guys, not so much. So, Steve, what are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 5.
And Christopher?
I think I would agree with Steve of a solid 5. And I'd also just point out too that I think it was a very bold move to film all the gratuitous nudity, but not let the audience see it.
Yeah.
And then I was very disappointed that there weren't bloopers or anything in the closing credits, because this film screamed for the type of film that would have that exact thing, and I was very disappointed.
That's a shame. Yeah, maybe maybe they can convince them to put something on YouTube. Okay, so 2 5s, and I'm going for a 7 for this. I did really, really like it. So there you go. The only thing I didn't like, I will say, and I think this isn't just about, it's not endemic to this film, but to others. It's the sort of silly demonic voices, which, they kind of sort of make them sort of like childish sort of voices. Annoys me. And it's certainly not scary. But there you go. 2 5s and a 7 for Blood Barn. If you're in the States, this is currently streaming on Screambox. I don't know when we're actually going to get it in the UK, but there you go. Go check it out if you can. Our next review is Else. A romance blossoms between an introvert called Anx and the confident Cassandra, but their relationship faces a threat when a strange epidemic causes the infected to merge with their surroundings, trapping the couple in a shape-shifting nightmare. So, Christopher, there's something we've come across in the past with French genre films. They don't know how to do sci-fi properly.
So I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. So there's a film we reviewed either last year or the year before about the French space race, basically, and about these two brothers who are going to be astronauts, and then one of them gets hit, well, not hit, but he gets contaminated by a meteor which falls into the pond where they're swimming. and he starts mutating into an alien. Okay, great premise, done incredibly morosely and boring. Do you remember that one, Steve?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible because instead of making it something pulpy and fun, it was like 2 hours in a hospital, as this guy slowly deteriorates, basically. Anyway, so that's kind of where I was at watching this film Else, because there is some gorgeous visuals in this film, but the whole thing is just so morose and like, I just don't want to spend time here at all, you know? So what did you make of this one, Christopher?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And this would fit really well in like in our when I was talking earlier about it looked pretty. Uh
Mm,
it did. The film looked gorgeous. There was some amazing visuals. The ideas and the effects of the people or creatures or things merging into each other was incredibly well realized.
mm,
But you're sitting there just sort of wondering, but what's the point? And do we have to follow the two people that I would probably want to spend the least amount of time with? I didn't find either of the main characters engaging or
mm.
anyone that I really cared about. And the whole thing just goes on too long. It's a little too enamored with its own look. And so it just keeps showing you the stuff over and over. And it, I was thinking while watching it, like this is like the darkest Doctor Who episode I've ever seen, because this is exactly this sort of plot you might have in something like a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
And in the end, I'll admit it, I just didn't get it. Like where did we start? Where did we go? And where did we end up? I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you've just described 90% of the sci-fi movies coming out of France, basically. So I mean, the film opens with our main characters having sex. Yeah, he's doing his best, and she's basically taking the piss, which is quite amusing. But for at least 5 minutes, we don't know which of these two is our protagonist. They're sort of bouncing around this flat, and then it's like, oh fuck, we're following him. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah, she's the really interesting one. He's the morose. That's like the fifth time I've used the word morose in this podcast, but he's the introvert basically. And it's like he's going to be the one least interesting to follow. But luckily, she comes back. There's something about him that she finds endearing, wants to see him again, which is good. Maybe she can teach him how to fuck at some point. So there's that. And then there's just like, well, they're just trapped in this apartment. It's just very, very annoying. But there is some great visuals. Steve, what did you make of this?
I'm a bit more up on it than you two.
Wow. I don't believe it.
No, I mean, right. It had me for the first half, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets all pretentious and eraser-heady, and that's when it kind of started to lose me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When it turned black and white and all the shit started going on. Well, I thought it was a really good idea. Now, I'm presuming it was dreamt up during lockdown, where... Because basically, that's what happens. It's kind of a lockdown. You're trapped in this apartment with these two people. And yeah, I thought the first half was really good. I mean, like, there's a scene where they're like attacked in the flat.
Yeah.
By these, it's like a rolling rock formation or something. I think it's the guy from outside who's like merged with the floor or something. And again, I thought the sound design on that was absolutely fantastic. The way, like, when it's rolling towards it, the sound was just fabulous. And again, it's like a weird way how it's passed on.
Mm-hmm.
It's passed on through staring into the eye for a certain amount of time or something.
Right.
And that's what passes this supposed virus on. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. And to be fair, like I said at the beginning, I thought they were actually quite funny, the pair of them together. Because, like you say, he's just so stiff upper lips and wouldn't do anything. And she just like walked into a flat, grabbed his head and shoved it between her legs and stuff like that. Which it's like they are the odd couple. It's quite strange. And then it just gets a bit weird and pompous and basically goes up its own arse. The ending was just a load of bollocks, I'll be honest. But like I said, I enjoyed the first half, and then it kind of lost me.
Yeah. My favorite shot of this is, I think it's something that Christopher was alluding to as well, is there's a bit where there's like something being created out of the wood that they've sort of barricaded the window with.
Yeah.
And there's a shot which just sort of pulls out from the eye. It just sort of zooms, and that was sort of really, really good. This actually, I thought this was a lockdown film as well, but it actually predates that. The director, Thibault Emin, he actually made a short film back in 2004, upon which this is based. So yeah, it's an idea. I imagine, when he got to lockdown, that's when it probably sort of shifted. Because I think it came out in 2024. This, I think, in France, so it's been around for a couple of years at least. But yeah, it's again, it just takes all the fun out of genre cinema, genre ideas, and just sort of tries to play it as straight as possible.
Yeah.
Christopher, what are yours going to score else?
If this was supposed to be a statement on lockdown or something, I'm not sure what it was supposed to be. Was it pro? Was it against? I don't know. I'm only going to give this, oh man, just for the visuals alone, I'll go as high as a 3.
Wow.
But maybe a 4, but I couldn't go any higher than that.
Fair enough. And Steve?
I'll give it a 6.
Okay, and I'm going to split you with a 5. So there we have it. We have a 4, a 5, and a 6 for else. If you've enjoyed other sort of genre films from France, I'm not talking about horror films, I'm talking about things like sci-fi and stuff like that, you may enjoy this. Mileage will definitely vary. A 4, a 5, and a 6. Go check it out. Our next review is The Monster Within, also known as Inheritance. In a quiet town, reclusive Garrett inherits his family's 100-acre farm, but it comes with a horrifying cost. Tied to the land lies something ancient and hungry. As the evil stirs, he must decide how far he'll go to keep it buried before it consumes him entirely. Oh dear. Okay. There's a few things I did like in this. Mostly, it was the sessions with the psychiatrist. I thought that was quite interesting, because he's having to be very, very cagey about what's going on, and she's having to try and interpret what he's telling her, and try and read between the lines. But she's never going to guess that he's feeding people to a monster in his basement. There's no way she's going to get to that leap of logic. So those bits are quite interesting. It's directed by a great name, Dino Longo Sabanovic, who's from Bosnia. This is his first English-speaking directorial film. He's acted in a few things back in Bosnia, but this is his first attempt at directing, from what I can tell. It just looks incredibly flat. The lighting's wrong. Everything, just doesn't really sort of gel for me. I think there was more artistic design in Bloodborne. I'm still trying to justify that, but this is just very flat. There's certain scenes in this where I'm questioning the director's choice, and I shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? I should
Right.
be watching the film and taking it on its own merits. But I find myself going, why has he put the camera there? Why is he filming this in such a long shot? You know, why is he spending 10 minutes showing us how to, you know, dig a hole with a JCV? Things like that in long shot. It probably comes down to budget and just like we don't have time to reset the camera for another shot. So I'm just capturing everything I can in one go. But it just makes you start thinking like or second guessing, his decisions. Anyway, Steve, what did you make of The Monster Within?
No, didn't like it at all. Thought it was terrible. It's cheap, very, very cheap. I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Someone inherits his farm, but also inherits this dark monster that you've got to keep feeding. But what he doesn't get into
Test.
is what had happened if he didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So just I don't know.
I was starting to, yeah, come.
Would it? Because apparently it doesn't like men; it only likes eating women.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ladies.
yeah, would it escape and eat him, or kill him, or just go on a rampage, or what? No idea. And the ending really pissed me off because that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Really did. And I know you said you liked the therapist bits, but I thought she was absolutely terrible. The acting was awful, and from her especially. I just thought no, because when it started, I thought, oh, this could be quite interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just went downhill from there. And like you said, I think most of it is due to budget. I just don't think they had anything.
Yeah.
And again, like the bit with the farmhand,
Yeah.
and his dad and the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
again, just didn't go anywhere. I
It's
think that the writer had these ideas and just thought, oh, we'll cobble it together, and it
Yeah.
just.
Christopher, what do you make of The Monster Within?
Yeah, this one did not sit well with me really at all either. It's really the basic theme isn't all that too far from Bloodborne, but Bloodborne at least tried to be a little clever with it,
Yeah.
whereas this one was just trying to make a serious horror film, and it just didn't work. You mentioned how everything seems very flat. I mean, the film opens with some drone footage and everything, and when your drone footage is better quality than like the rest of your film, you're kind of in trouble. Um, I like the idea of the therapist, but I agree with Steven that I mean, there's line readings and then there's reading the lines, and I feel like she was the latter.
See, I didn't mind her when she was in conversation, but there's a bit where she's like talking into her recorder to sort of give her notes and stuff, and yeah, that bit was pretty poor, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I found it funny. We saw several people get kidnapped, and they get chloroformed, and then when they wake up, they are amazingly calm for suddenly waking up after being attacked, and then finding themselves in an environment where they weren't before, and they're just like, "Oh, what's going on? Like, really? That's your
Why am I
response?"
tied up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And yeah, there is, you know, some directors think those long lingering shots are artistic or something. In reality, they're really just padding the film.
Yep.
This thing was about a 30-minute story, and they stretched it well over an hour, and it didn't need to be.
There's bits in this like when he's got the digger to bury the box, and the whole thing it's like watching one of these instructional videos on YouTube. You know, I could almost imagine it's like some German guy sort of going, "Hello and congratulations on buying your new JCV digger, and let us go through its many features." You know, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, it was very, very tedious in times. You know, because you just thought, why are they just showing this one shot of him using the digger? Or there's other things where I don't know, cars going past and stuff, and it's just following. It was very, very annoying. And as I was saying earlier, it's like you just start second guessing the director, going, well, surely you break it up, you do a lot, close-ups or something to make it interesting. But it's just very, very annoying. The bit sort of Steve alluded to where he sort of said he's throwing ideas at this and hoping they'll stick. There's when that guy is introduced to go visit the dad of the kid that's gone missing, the farmhand, and you see him, chugging beer or whatever, watching the sunset, and he's on the phone, and all that dialogue, you think, yeah, this is either ad-libbed or it was recorded before they'd actually finished the script, because it just does not make sense. It's like, he answers the phone. Oh, hey, it's Marty. Well, of course it's me. Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's very weird. But,
He was trying to be the hard-boiled private eye or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or, the fixer, basically, is that sort of character, isn't it? The guy you call to try and solve a problem. Anyway, yeah, it didn't work. Is basically what we're saying. This, as I said, this is the director's first attempt feature, so hopefully he'll learn from it. Hopefully get more money. Maybe try again, and then maybe we'll see whether or not he actually got the talent to pull it off, or if he's going to be sort of using budget constraints as a permanent sort of excuse. So on that note, Steve, what are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 4.
And Christopher?
I'll give it a 4 for the effort. I enjoy a good, attempt and a first time attempt. So I'll give him points for that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think I'll join you on a 4 for this one. As I said earlier, the concept of people doing bad things for the right reasons, or in their head for the right reasons, is kind of interesting to me. How they sort of justify it to themselves. But he didn't seem to have a problem with it up until a point. Fine.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what amused me as well is he doesn't seem to know how to tie knots or tie people up. I was kind of imagining him that the second time somebody escapes, he's like, "Oh, not again," But he makes no attempt to do better next time, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, the same sort of slack ropes on the wrists. But
the film itself doesn't really know how to tie things up.
That's true.
The film doesn't. The film doesn't so much end as it just stops.
It does, and that whole sort of video thing at the end. It's like, well, yeah, we know. We've been watching the film. You've told us all this information already. There's no point. Anyway, okay. So 3 4s for The Monster Within, and I suspect we're being a little bit generous, but if you want to go check it out, go check it out. Our next review is Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is the remake from 2025, directed by Mike P. Nelson. As a child, Billy witnessed the murder of his parents at the hands of a shotgun-wielding Santa. Years later, Billy is following the directions of a voice in his head, urging him to kill during days leading up to Christmas. However, things start to change when he takes a job at a local store and meets Pamela. Now, in order to review this properly, I had to go and watch the original from 1984. to get an idea of what's been updated, basically. So the 1984 version is a very good film, I should say. The premise is more or less the same, except for the voice in the head, and a lot more time is spent on Billy's childhood. So after the murder of his parents, which Billy witnesses, and the fact that his granddad has been telling him that Santa not only brings toys to those who've been good, but he punishes those who've been bad as well. So, seeing Santa kill his parents in front of him is being pretty traumatic. But then he's sent to an orphanage run by some very strict nuns, and they will not have any of his shenanigans, especially around Christmas time, and make his childhood an absolute hell. So when he's finally 18, leaves the orphanage, gets a job at Ira's toy store, which looks like the IRA's toy store, but never mind. And there he meets Pamela and her dad, who runs the store, and a couple of other characters as well. And one of the things that sort of causes him to have a psychotic break is the fact that he's asked to be Santa for the store Santa. And then in the after party on Christmas Eve, he witnesses one of the other staff try to sexually assault Pamela, and that sets him off. He ends up killing this guy, and rather than thanking him, Pamela starts screaming at him that he's a monster and all the rest of it, and then that starts his killing spree. Okay. The remake does that first bit more or less the same, except Billy's parents are actually trying to kill his granddad in order to get like an inheritance out of him. And Billy witnesses his granddad being ill, but then the murder of his parents again. But he has a more adjusted time. He still goes through the system and everything, but he's got this voice in his head called Charlie, who's helping him and steering him to kill people who've actually been bad. Okay. And it makes for a much better film. It's absolutely brilliant. And this is basically the slasher version of Venom, is what this is.
Right.
It really is, because he's got that same sort of relationship with the guy in his head. They have this banter going and all this sort of stuff. It is really, really good. And some of the stuff that happens, there's one bit where he's fixated on this particular woman. The voice in his head, Charlie, is basically saying, "Yeah, she needs to go," and he's like, "Okay." And he's talking to her, and she invites him to this Christmas party. So he goes along to this Christmas party, and it's a full-on Nazi party. There's like big swastika flags and everything in this thing, and he just looks at it and goes, "Fuck me." It's absolutely brilliant. He sort of goes, "Right, obviously I've got to kill everyone." But it's great. I absolutely love this. It was absolutely spot on. Mike P. Nelson, who's directed this, he also directed The Domestics, which you guys will know I'm very fond of. But yeah, no, this is very, very good. I highly recommend it. I mean, it's not Christmas, obviously, but it's just such a good time. It really is. It allows the characters to flourish. People like Pamela and her dad become much more important in this than they were in the original. Yeah, it's just really, really good. I highly recommend it. And that is why I'm giving this one, guys, a 9 out of 10.
What?
Wow.
I know.
Oh, impressive.
I thoroughly recommend it. So there you go. A 9 out of 10 for the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. I would give the original one an 8, because it is just such a classic of its time, and it has its own sense of dark humor as well, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, this is the bee's knees as far as I'm concerned. Go check it out. Our short shot this week is POV. An ideologically opposed couple attempt to survive a home invasion by a masked killer on the single most dangerous night of the year, Halloween. I would say this was very much influenced by the Purge films. The idea of this one particular day being deadly, for most people, needing to sort of stay inside. Also things like, what was that one? Was it not Punch? There was that British one we saw last year, guys, and it was the guy in a sort of mental hospital, but outside he had this whole army of
Yeah.
influences.
Oh,
Do you remember that one? Yeah, a little
yeah.
bit like that. Anyway,
Oh, Halloween.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Anyway, I like the idea of this. I just think it's too dark. The way, it's too darkly shot. You can't really sort of see a lot of what's going on, unfortunately. That's really all I've got to say about it. So I'm going to hand over to Rich to tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so this is a new film from Brian Rosenthal, who I'm most familiar with a couple of fan films that he did about 10 years ago. One was called Marvel Zombies versus the Army of Darkness.
That was great. That was really good.
And that was followed up by Ash versus Lobo and the DC Dead. Both
That's
very visual effects heavy fan films. I thought he did a fantastic job with those. He's done one or two other films since. I haven't seen them all, but this one's been doing the festival circuit since it premiered at Popcorn Frights Film Festival in 2023. And it's been doing all sorts of other festivals, including Kevin Smith did one recently called the Smod Castle Horror Fest, and it was there as well. And now it's made its debut on YouTube. I wasn't sure. I was looking forward to it, having seen what the director had done before, but I didn't quite know what was coming. I didn't know what to expect. And I think the description, the description that you read out, which is the same one that they've used on the films.
That's where I cribbed it from.
As well, yeah. I think that's quite misleading, but probably intentionally so. Yeah. Because the film itself takes a massive left turn about halfway through, and I absolutely loved it.
I mean, yeah, the costume designs are great. That's for sure. Yeah, there's a lot to like in it. It's just that when you get to those sort of fight scenes, I just thought, you got two guys dressed in black fighting in a dark room. Needed something else, I think. Okay.
I didn't have any issues with it. I've watched it a couple of times, and I found everything quite clear when I was watching it.
Christopher, what do you make of POV?
Yeah, you would come to me. Oh, there. Good. I'm gonna go. Why I actually have audio.
Exactly.
I'm not the only one. I thought I watched this and I was having such a hard time kind of making out what was going on because it was just black on black on black. I get the feeling that this may have been like a proof of concept, maybe, because I feel like this idea of this story needs a lot more to hang itself on than what we get in this short 15, 16, 17 minutes. Who is this vigilante? Why does he sort of pick and choose who he chooses to save? He's watching people get murdered, and then he's just like, well, maybe he's gone, sure, but I'll go and help her. I feel like there's just a lot more to be had here, and we're not getting it all. It was interesting. I like the idea. I'd like to know a little bit more about why all of a sudden is Halloween the dangerous night, and Halloween's canceled because it's the most dangerous, and what is that? I mean, you're laying a lot on us and giving us very little, so we're just expected to roll with it, and it really is just an excuse for someone that goes, well, I'm a really good martial arts and fight choreographer, and that's what I want to highlight. So that's what this felt like to me. It just felt like a proof of concept or a highlight reel for someone's CV.
Yeah, I think the ending of this very much heads in that direction as well, because the ending is just nonsensical because if this guy is a vigilante sort of going after, it's like he's not very good at it. He's kind of waiting a bit too long before he intervenes, but it's top and tailed as well with the sort of like a very pro-right, sort of Republican style well, not even sort of newscasters that you get in America, you know. And it's quite funny. The one at the end, he starts off saying, "Oh, this is all fake and everything. It's all fake, fake, fake." But then he's sort of saying, "What's this guy's agenda?" It's like, well, come on, it's either fake or it's not, you know. You're sort of trying to have it both ways. But anyway, Steve, what did you make of POV?
Yeah, it was a Purge rip-off, you know, for the first 5-10 minutes, and then it swings into, I don't know, like Scream / martial arts or something. Yeah, and like you guys said, it's hard to see. It was very, very dark, and I even had to turn the brightness up on my TV just to get a bit of a grasp to it. Yeah, I wasn't too enamored with it, to be fair. I just, yeah, it was fine. It's nothing new, nothing exceptional. It was okay.
It's a shame because as
Yeah.
you know, Rich mentioned the previous ones that he did, the Marvel Zombies versus the Evil Dead kind of thing. They were great, you know, very funny as well, with great, you know, makeup effects and everything. Definitely worth checking out. We don't score the shorts. We do recommend you check them out. You know, we weren't totally enamored by this, but we certainly recommend you look up Brian's other work. And who knows, you might get more out of this than we did. Go check it out. Our DTV throwback this week is Diamond Cut Diamonds, also known as Witness to a Kill. The Queen's messenger is called to convey vital dispatches to a highly secretive conference called to combat the activities of modern poachers who threaten the economies of many African states. Wow, what a mouthful. Okay, so this stars Gary Daniels, who I'll talk about a bit more later, but you know, a great sort of screen martial artist for sure. Probably best known for City Hunter. He was in City Hunter with Jackie Chan. And also, he had a small role in The Expendables, among other things. But he's done loads of stuff for like PM Entertainment in the past as well. This feels a lot like a PM Entertainment film. I don't think it is though, Rich, is it?
No, this is quite a few years later.
Few years later, yeah, I think it's in the 2000s. That's right, yeah. Set in South Africa, directed by a South African called Darrell Root. Okay, this is a very ridiculous film. It's got very ridiculous dialogue, but it is such a good time. It really is. I absolutely love this. It's just a ridiculous, classic sort of PM Entertainment style action movie. Very, very silly. The dialogue is dreadful. Gary Daniels' voice is hilarious because he sounds like he's escaped from EastEnders, all the way through. It's like,
at least at least his accent is legit though, whereas
it's
everyone
legit.
else just sounds like they're doing a parody all the time.
Oh yeah, especially
Blimey, governor.
yeah. Or the guy who looks like Higgins from Magnum, who's the major. Very funny. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. Steve, what did you make of Diamond Cut Diamond?
Yeah, ridiculous is the right word, to be fair. It's over the top, awful dialogue. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seemed a bit weird. You know, you getting like these African countries and involved in all this lot, and is the Queen's thingy an actual real life thing?
It used to be going back like 18th century kind of thing. Yeah,
Right.
that sort of thing. But I thought that idea was great because if you were going to develop like your own sort of James Bond kind of thing, that would be a brilliant hook. I think kind of like the Kingsman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that would actually work you could probably run a whole series off that.
Yeah, true. I never thought of it in that way. But yeah, I don't know. It just opens up in the middle of this jungle where they're dragging this woman in like a ball gown, and it just gets more batshit from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially the bit that really got me, right? I was just like, oh, fuck off. Was right at the end with the motorbike.
So you got this guy on a motorbike zooming off. Yeah, it does a couple of corners, does a bit of parkour on the motorbike, jumping over things, and poor Gary Daniels is just running in a straight line through this warehouse, and somehow catches up with him, so can jump on him and stop him. Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious, absolutely brilliant.
That's what I think of that as like the Ethan Hunt part of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, very much.
Okay, Christopher, what did you make of Diamond Cut Diamond?
Yeah, this was a really great 1980s action film. But it was filmed sometime in the 2000s.
That's it.
And yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just a stupid action film. None of this should be taken seriously. It stars a whole lot of people that remind you of better actors. You know, this was, or not even so much better actors, but maybe more recognizable action stars. You know, this is not Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is. I was trying to find my notes. I had a couple here that made me think of it. Yeah, this was not Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is not Ming-Na Wen. But that's who I was thinking of whenever I would actually see him on the screen. It's a kind of a paint-by-number action film. The names that they give these people, you know, our hero is Strong. That's his name.
Yeah, Captain Strong. I'll have you know,
Captain Strong. The villain, of course, is Wolf. You know, they go through the whole kidnapping thing, and all the henchmen are in masks, and the only reason that they're in masks is so he can grab a mask and infiltrate and sneak into the compound or whatever. I mean, it's that kind of film.
Yep.
Did it have a plot? Maybe. I don't know. Does it matter? No, not at all. It was fine. It was you want to see some explosions and some gunplay and some I don't know, is this guy a superhero? Maybe, sure. You know, would we see this same sort of stuff in like a someone mentioned it, a Mission Impossible or a James Bond? And would we knock it for doing so? Probably not. But because this is sort of like the B movie version, we maybe give it a little grief. But it was fine. It was a fun action film.
I could watch like a dozen of these, I think. There's one bit which I thought was great. I mean, we mentioned the motorcycle bit, which is hilarious in itself. There's a bit with a on a like an elevated train, and he jumps on the back of it, and they get shot at, and he's like, send somebody out to go. Well, exactly. The guy gets up. There's nowhere for him to go, and all of a sudden he comes flying in, you know, with a flying kick. It's like, well, where was he hiding? It's like absolutely ridiculous. He's wearing a Predator like camouflage thing or something. But it's silly stuff like that. It's kind of what makes it.
Again, not only that, right? At least they actually filmed it on top of an actual train rather than what they do nowadays.
Yeah.
But so he has to defeat the guy on top of the train, right? Strip off, nick his clothes, then put his clothes on
force him to put his shirt on, so he can. And he must have fully dressed him. He couldn't just put him off with a shirt because
he's got the shirt and pants on. He's got the shirt and pants on.
Oh dear.
Then getting in his boiler suit and getting his mask on.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, lads. You know what I mean?
And it's all in the blink of an eye because he's, you know, genius. But yeah, Rich, you mentioned this one. You found this on, is it Tubi or Mubi? One of the two.
Tubi.
Which one?
Tubi, definitely not Mubi.
Yeah, definitely Tubi.
Yeah,
we probably see it on Mubi, but
had you seen it before?
Yes, I used to own it on DVD. Back in I got it like in the 2000s, late 2000s, and annoyingly, I sold it off for like a quid about 15 years ago, and I've regretted it ever since because it's such a hard to find film, and it was like I just gave it away basically. So I've been really gutted. And I wanted to see it again, and I've been looking out for it, and yeah, and it turned up because it was originally the DVD type version. The original title was Witness to a Kill. And I was going through Tubi, and there, all of a sudden, there it was with this different title, and I was just crying. I was like, "Oh my God, I've been looking for this film for years," and so I was excited. Just as a quick side note, another Gary Daniels film has also turned up under an alternative title, which has also never been released before in the UK. Which it was called Reptilicant originally, which I think is a great title, but it turned up under the title I, Alien. So I'll be watching that as soon as I can. But getting back to this one, the reason I remember this one, I couldn't remember much about the story, but I did remember that it had some decent action in it. Watching it again, there's not a huge amount of action. You have to kind of wait for it, but when it comes, it's worthwhile. They've done it's properly it's got that Hong Kong influence style. There's lots of wire pulls and really good stunts in it. I think when they come, that really deliver. I don't know if you know that this is a sequel.
No.
So this is they were both. I think they were shot back to back because they both came out around the same time, 2001. The original film was called Queen's Messenger, and it was a much duller looking film than this. It just didn't have a lot going on in terms of its visual style, and it was only really notable in that it had a small role or a supporting role for Christoph Waltz.
Oh yeah,
before he broke out.
Oh, interesting.
This one, you mentioned earlier about obviously Gary Daniels being in City Hunter, but there's other Jackie Chan movie connections that I like. So we got Françoise Yip, who is the girlfriend who's the journalist. She was in Rumble in the Bronx. That was her breakout movie. And funnily enough, I just watched that like a week ago, coincidentally. And then the other guy, I think you mentioned the Colonel. If it's the same character, if it's the same guy, he's an actor called Ron Smerzak, who was in Who Am I?
Oh, okay.
And that's where I recognised him from. But the guy who did the action scenes, Japanese guy, Tatsuro Koike, he worked on a Gary Daniels film before called Fatal Blade, also known as Gedo, and has done various other films, including one of my favourites, Shadow Fury. He did a Japanese film called K-20, which is a really good superhero movie.
It is, yes.
More recently, he's done stuff like he did Godzilla -1. So he's quite high up in the sort of coordinator sort of roles. Yeah. This one,
nice,
because it's produced by a guy called paid or funded by a guy called Harry Alan Towers, who had worked with Gary Daniels on a film called City of Fear, which I also remember being quite good. And like a lot of Gary Daniels films, Gary Daniels films are really hard to get hold of. Unfortunately, he's one of the most poorly served action stars in that most of his films have sort of dropped into obscurity.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that more will start turning up. Anyway, this was him and Harry Alan Towers. They were kind of doing a James Bond series, like you were saying. So we get introduced to the Foreign Secretary, or Sir Richard, as he's also referred to. He's played by the classic British actor John Standing. What's completely funny is that he's kind of the M figure in this, right? And he would then go on to play M on BBC Radio 4 adaptations of Ian Fleming James Bond novels.
Okay.
Several years later, he's played M like about 5 or 6 times. So it was like this was like kind of a trial run at his M, which I like. I didn't know that until I started researching it. The other thing I think is interesting is that they got the director Daryl Root on board. He came out of kind of B movies. He did a Cannon film called To the Death, which I used to have on video, and and then he broke out and did a film called Serafina with Whoopi Goldberg. He did Cry the Beloved Country, which was quite a high profile film. He did a Patrick Swayze film called Fatherhood, and then the one I remember him from is called Dangerous Ground with Ice Cube and Elizabeth Hurley. Then he kind of dropped off the radar a bit, and he's sort of back in B movies, and he kind of moves between B movies and dramas and stuff. And so he's done films like Dracula 3000 and silly stuff like that. But he's a good director, and he's better than the material almost, I think. So he kind of brings that extra quality, I think, to this one, makes it stand out. But quite why they've gone for the sort of crazy stereotypes with the dialogue and the acting. I mean, they've got a character called Paddy O'Reilly.
That's right.
Who's like the most stereotypical, clearly not played by an Irishman character that you've seen. But yeah, I think this film's got so many sort of interesting dimensions to it. It's not perfect. It's definitely flawed. The story is very confusing. Oh, by the way, we got Eva Haberman, who was quite well known in the series Lex around this time. And she's in a supporting role. And so, yeah, she's the other Bond girl. We've got Francoise Yip and Eva Haberman as kind of the strong girls, as it is. And yeah, the South African locations looks really good. It's all shot at a place called Sun City. The Sky Train sequence is short, but hey, they gave it a go, didn't they?
I mean, absolutely.
Adkins has done a few things like where he's fighting on the cable car in London and stuff, so that's great. But so I always love to see a practical location, and that Sun City resort, the place looks amazing on the screen, and when you see the exteriors and they're running around and stuff. So and then we go to we got the big, like you say, the final sequence, which is all in an abandoned warehouse, not an abandoned warehouse, an industrial.
It's sort of like where it's like where RoboCop was shot, wasn't it? At the end.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of like the classic conclusion.
That one, that Battle Drones.
Like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We covered last time.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing is at the beginning where it all turns out to be a training exercise. It's like, it's like the way they sort of shoehorn these big action sequences in that have no relation to the plot, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, it's a training sequence. But even James Bond did that.
Exactly. So, we'll always do the pre-credits mission before, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I don't like about this is the music. I think the music's terrible, especially on the end credits. It's like, oh god, that tune is awful.
Right. Based on what Rich has just told us, hands up who wants to see a movie with Ice Cube and Elizabeth Hurley. I certainly do. I mean, what a bizarre partnership that is. There's, casting.
I think they might have done.
It was quite high profile at the time.
Yeah. I'll have to have a look for that. Yeah.
Was it on Dangerous Ground?
It's just called Dangerous Ground. It's all about Ice Cube going to Cape Town and trying to get revenge or something. He meets up with Elizabeth Hurley there and gets her help. I can't remember. I used to have it on video back, in 1995 or whatever it was. And I don't remember much about it. I don't think it was that good, but it was kind of like Ice Cube was kind of getting big as a leading man. It was kind of one of his first sort of higher profile roles. And Elizabeth Hurley was really hot at the time, so they were kind of making a lot of that. But yeah, it's not great. I think yeah.
Curiosity value is what it has.
Curiosity value, but I think there's probably I'm more curious to see what he did with Dracula 3000. We watched a film that he did before, which was called Prey. Do you remember the one about the lion?
Yes.
Yeah, so he did that, and he's done a whole bunch of other stuff. He did a film after this that was nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh my god, what was that?
As the best foreign language film. It was called Yesterday. It was about 3 years after this.
Oh, okay.
So he's definitely got a diverse filmography for sure.
Right then, so we don't score the throwbacks, but we do recommend you check them out. We found this on Tubi. Anyway, thanks guys for joining us this evening. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and X and Blue Sky at the DTV Digest. Also, the Short Shots. And guess what? Richard and I are finally planning to do a new episode of that. So look out for that. Other than that, thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.